Alright everyone, this is an update on my 3D printer. If you've been following the series, you'll be well aware that I've not done anything to it in, must be coming up for a year I guess. Kinda got a bit stalled, lost interest, other things were going on. I was working there last year I was quite busy for a period. Anyway, enough about that. For one reason or another, I've not got much done. And today I thought, fuck it, I really need to get my finger out and get on with it. So I knuckled down and just decided to bite the bullet and put a few hours into making some progress. So that's what I did. Now, I think the printer is always going to be a work in progress, to be honest with you. It's never going to have the finish or the build quality that I will always want to have. So there'll always be improvements needed to be done. Remember, I built it with the cheapest of materials and scrapped materials that I could source. Okay, so there'll always be room for improvement. Now, today, all I've done today is well, I say all I've done today, it's not a lot, but there's been a lot of bits and pieces had to be made and fitted. This little plate here, I don't know if you'll pick it out, there's a square plate here. That's basically covering a hole that was initially drilled for a larger switch. As it turns out, I didn't have a room at the back here for the depth of the body on the larger switch, so I had to replace that switch with a much smaller switch. So this is a sort of an adapter plate, if you like. It's just about a tin with a hole drilled in it. The other things I did is I drilled a couple of little holes here for my LEDs. I got the switch wired in, and also one of the LEDs wired into the switch as well. The other LED is just soldered directly into these, the standby and ground. This LED is soldered into the 5 volt and I don't know what you'd call it, a connecting wire, which goes to the ground on the switch. Now, you may notice under the, I don't know if I'll get it to focus here, but I'll try. When my finger is there, there's a slight bulge in the heat shrink, and that's a little resistor. It's about a 300 or 330 ohm resistor, and there's also similarly one under the standby, the purple wire here. I think that's 5 volt standby, and this is just your 5 volt rail. So what's the purpose of this? It's just a sort of an indicator as to the power status of the printer, basically. When I put the master switch on, this switch here wasn't originally fitted to the power supply. There was no switch on it, and that meant that you had to go down to the socket to switch it on and off, which was I can't be arsed with that. So I fitted this switch. So now when I put that switch on, now you probably never saw anything there in the camera, but you'll see there now one little red LED. Okay. Now, and then when I flick this switch, now that means that there's power, that the printer, the power supply is on, the standby power is on, so there's power on the power supply now. Now all I need to do is flick this switch and that then means the power is on. The fan there started up. Switch it off. Switch it on. And the LED lights, and that means that there will be power then, because there will be connectors in these banana plugs going to the printer, and that means the printer will be turned on. So I'm just waiting now for the glue gun here to heat up, and when that's done, what I'll be doing is I'll just be gluing these little LEDs into these two holes I drilled. And this was a tutorial I followed on YouTube by a German lad. He goes by the alias of Jumper1TV, I believe. He has a video tutorial on converting ATX power supplies into benchtop power supplies. So I've basically been following that, and he's got it all laid out. He's got diagrams, he's got explanations of which are fairly in depth. There's little things that he omitted, that you have to research for yourself. The likes of these LEDs, for instance. I'm not a instrument tech or a Sparky or anything like that, so I had to do a little bit of reading. I asked some people online first, and they directed me to resources where I could read and learn for myself. But these little LEDs, the power actually only flows one way through them, so it flows from the positive to the negative. It can't flow the opposite way. So you have to make sure that you've got your the wire or cable that's carrying your current going to the positive terminal of the LED. Now, there's no markings on the LEDs that'll determine if they're positive or negative, which terminal is. Now, well, that's not necessarily true, okay? When you buy them new, they've got quite long stalks or wires or electrodes coming off them, and the longer, I believe, is the positive. Now, my ones are just, they've been refurbished, or not refurbished, they've been repurposed from old remote controls and the like. Okay, there's different bits of electrical equipment that had become irreparable. So I've just stripped them down and taken any components that were still in good condition off them, and these LEDs were. So that's what I've done. So I didn't have the long stalks. That's my point. Okay. Talk about beating around the bush. Yeah. Now, there's a couple of ways to identify what is the positive terminal and what is the negative terminal on your LED. You probably already know this, but I'll just cover it as I'm doing this video anyway. One is a small 5-volt battery. Okay, one of these little wee slim 5-volt batteries, or maybe the slightly thicker ones, possibly for your watch. You just jam it between the electrodes at an angle slightly, so that one side is touching your one terminal and the other side is touching the opposite terminal. And if it doesn't light up, you turn the battery around, try it the other way, and if it does light up, then you know that whichever side is the positive on the battery and whichever terminal it is touching, that is then the positive of the LED. So if you don't have one, well, that's probably the easiest way to do it. The other way is if you have a multimeter. This is a cheap one I got off eBay, I think a couple of years back. It replaces one that I'd had prior to that lasted me about 10 years and then went pop. But there's a continuity tester on this, and there's also a little wee diode emblem beside that continuity tester. symbol. The continuity test symbol is like a sort of sound wave, little wee circles emanating from a point, kind of like a radar or sonar. Yeah, that'll give you the idea that it produces a sound when the electrodes are crossed. So it shows that it's a short occurring, or that there's a closed circuit, put it that way. Now the little wee diode symbol, that's for things like diodes and LEDs, which LED is just a light emitting diode after all. Yeah. So when you have the switch turned to the continuity test, what you can do then is put your negative on one side and your positive on the other side, and if it's the correct way round, the LED will actually light up. And I don't recall if it actually makes a tone, your multi-tester, but that's a good way to determine it as well. So that's 10 minutes. So my LEDs are working. I'm happy with that. My glue gun's quite hot, quite getting, so I'll do that now. And it's been that long since I've looked at this, I really don't know what's outstanding to do now, but this was one of the main things that was holding me back. So now I might get some progress done, you know, because I would like to get my printer finished. You know, it was a project I started a couple of years back, and initially I did maybe a few weeks on it early in, I think maybe 2013, you know, like January, February, I worked at it for like maybe a month, and then I lost interest in it. I realised it was going to cost more money than I'd anticipated to build it, and I wasn't working at the time, so it kind of got forgotten about, with a little bit of progress here and there. Now, then I got a contract for 6 months locally, and that towards the end of that I'd sort of got a bit of money saved up, and I was thinking, yes, I could afford to buy the servo motors and bits and pieces, like the more expensive parts for the build. So I went ahead and made a push and got quite well on with the project then, and then the contract came to an end, and that was everything at a standstill again. So there, last year I got another contract out, and that helped sort of refill the bank balance again for a wee while, and but other things got in my way. I had to upgrade the PC, and you know, the bits and pieces like that. You know, I've been doing other things as well. I bought myself a new table saw, and I'm trying to get out of the, you know, outdoors a bit more as well. I was off camping last weekend, and you know, trying to have a life, you know, the same as everyone. So things like this, I do it when I feel like it, but I'm kind of getting the bug or the urge to get it complete now and start making stuff. Don't know what I'm going to fucking make right enough, but I'll make something just to prove that it works, if nothing else. Right, okay, that's all for tonight. For now, folks, I'll update you when I've got the power on the printer. Bye for now.